Welcome back, everybody. Those of you who may be new to the channel, you may not know this, but those who have been around a while know that from time to time I like to dive into a nice city builder or two. And this is one that is kind of on the fringes that not a lot of people know about, that I've played here and there. It's called OSTRIV. It takes place in Eastern Europe, and it's much under progress, still has been for quite some time, but they've released an Alpha 3 version of OSTRIV. So I thought I'd revisit OSTRIV, so I could introduce it to you for the first time if you're new to it. And if you're not, and if you are familiar with it, we can learn together about the new features that are available. So right off the bat, you place your camp. Now, the first things you have to do is, of course, get things like wood production going. And by the first winter, we've got to have all of these families that are currently living in tents. We've got to have them over into houses. And it takes every bit of this first spring and summer to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on getting some of that going, and then we'll come back to things. So here you open up your production panel and you can see all of the available production things that there are. So one of the things about this game is that the way that you grow your city is to have available homes, which only become available after you've got enough homes for all of your existing people. You've got to manage the homes, you've got to manage their income, manage their jobs, all of these sorts of things. And so it's like any city building sim. You've got to kind of manage all the resources and all those sorts of things. So first things first, of course, is the forestry. You see we need wood, nails, and then a certain amount of work to make that happen. There's only a certain amount of things like wood and nails that are going to be available. So honestly, for the first year or two, you don't really need things like farms to keep everything going. You can just do simple things like fishing and gathering nuts, berries, things of that nature. So we're going to go ahead and get these folks working, and as soon as they've completed the forestry, then we're just going to kind of follow the instructions, but we're going to immediately start working on other things like we've got to get the homes going. So I'm just looking to see what new things there may be. Health and education still are not available. We do have churches and chapels and burial plots available to us. We've got a town hall, which we had before. Production, of course, and then right here, houses, village houses. And what's cool about a lot of these things is they're free form, so you don't really have to place them in a certain way. You can kind of just do them however you see fit. So we're going to start doing our first couple of homes, and see you can kind of place them next to each other and then spread them out a little bit. So they'll start working on those as soon as we get the forestry done. One of the things I love about this game is how you can watch the building process unfolding a piece at a time. I feel like I'm watching a bunch of Amish folks building a home or building a barn or something in our local community. It's really cool to watch all the pieces going into place. And you'll also notice that the areas that they walk frequently will start to show paths. Okay, now we have to build houses for all families in camp before the winter comes. There's families, 9 families in tents, so we need 9 homes. We've started our first 2. You'll see by the time that winter comes, we'll have paths going in some of these places. Now, we can tell the forestry to plant trees, or we can just have them working on logs. We're going to go ahead and add our first couple of workers to the forestry, because we're going to need to be replenishing not only wood for building homes, but also firewood to get through that first winter. All right, we're into April. We've got our first home complete. And you can see with these little lines, it shows you where the people who live there are venturing off to. And you can click on each of these. You can see the family. You can see who they are and what they do for a living, if they have a job at all. And you can click on each of those things. You can also offer financial help directly to a family from the treasury. You can also see what all they currently have. They've got flour, potatoes, dried fish, sunflower oil, milk, salo, and drinking water and firewood. I guess we're going to have to start thinking about providing resources for those various things. So we're going to get a well going. Oh, we already have a well in town here, so that's not necessary. I am going to want eventually the ability to fish. Platform, I don't remember seeing that before. That may be something new here. I don't remember us having that in the old version of the game. It's been a while since I've played this. So we're going to make sure that we're constantly queuing up these homes, because we're going to need to have 9 of them by the time winter hits. I built a clay pit because you have to have a source of clay. The other thing we're going to need to have, and I'm thinking about production here, is thatch for the roofs. So we have to look for a thatchery right here, and that needs to be down near the water so they can collect reeds for that. And then eventually I'm going to want to be able to build for fishing. But in order to have the ability to make a fishing dock, you also have to have a boatyard, because you've got to make boats for the fishing dock. So we'll get those things done. It looks like the graphics are better than they used to be, and I haven't actually adjusted those at all. Actually, they're set to normal right now. I guess that's the highest. But they look like they're better than the last time I played, if I remember that right. So here we have our economy screen, and we get a lot more options once we build a town center, which we don't have right now. But the main thing right now is you can see the income versus expenses, and we have to keep an eye on that because we're staying pretty balanced right now, but that's not going to stay that way. We also need to look at our various options as far as things that we're producing, we're storing, we're using. The main things I have to worry about right now are nails, because I have no way to produce more nails at the moment. So I don't want to get so low that I have to start tearing buildings down to get access to nails to build things to make more nails. So we're going to build that thatchery here pretty soon. We've got 4 of the 9 houses we're going to need, but I want to get the thatchery built before we do too much more. We're only in May, so I feel like we're going to be fine on time for getting all these homes built in time. So I'm going to start building some more of these up here pretty soon. All right, so we're not quite to June yet. I've got all of the homes queued up. We're building number 5 now. We should be plenty of time to get the last 4 built. We've also got our little dock built here, our platform, and it looks like they can gather water from that. So I wondered about that. I think the graphics look great for a game that's just in Alpha 3 right now. I'm really very happy with that, and there's so much depth to this gameplay already, and there's a lot more that they're going to add. And I'll kind of look over some of that here in just a little bit, but you can see the paths that are starting to develop as folks walk back and forth from their homes to the village center, where they're kind of hanging out around the fire. We've still got 5 families living in these areas. Okay, you can see there we're out of thatch. That's why I was queuing up this thatchery here, because we don't have enough to finish these homes. So we're going to go ahead and slow down on building anything else until we get that thatchery done. All right, our thatchery is complete, and now actually we're going to go ahead and assign just at least 1 worker. Well, maybe we'll do 2 for now. And you can actually just control construction up here. I'm going to hold off on the boatyard, and we're going to drag it over so that we can queue up the homes first. The homes are the priority at the moment. So you can see our thatchers, they're going down, they're grabbing reeds to make their thatch with. And we've got production limits that we can set on all of this. But you can see there, they bring in reed, they put out thatch. And that's what city builders are all about. It's about building production and then managing that production. It really is strategy. So we've got to, I think we can hit shift and unlock everything. So we'll go ahead and do that. I remember it taking a lot longer and being a lot more difficult to get all the houses done in time. So I think maybe they've sped that up a little bit, which I like. And we'll see what else it tells us to do. I'm just going to kind of follow. Basically, it's a tutorial when you dive into the game, because it starts telling you what you need to do first. But having played it a few times, I have a little bit of an idea of what's going to be coming next. So the main thing for me is having a source of food before I can get farms into place. So that's why the boatyard, and then that'll be followed by the actually, you know what, before we even get to doing a boatyard, I want to have a way of making nails, because I'm concerned I'm going to run out of nails, and then I'm going to have to take some buildings down in order to have more nails. So I think smithy makes nails, horseshoes, and metal tools. So let's go ahead and get the smithy going. We'll get that rotated around here, and I think we'll put it right up here. So we'll put that right after these last 3 homes, which we should have done by August. That'll be good, because we'll need that in plenty of time. I believe these guys, they make firewood and logs. So right now we've got a production limit of 12 logs. We got plenty of wood collected. So we might even be able to fire one of those workers for now and allow them to... oh, we don't have enough workers. I guess we need 2 workers to chop trees. And then, of course, once this starts getting low, we have to think about planting more trees. But that's really not something we're too worried about right now. But you can see here, you actually set out an area where you are going to plant those trees. And I guess it probably can't hurt to start doing some of that now. Just because it'll take a while to get those grown and ready to be used. All right, 2 more houses yet to be built, and we will have everything we need for the winter. So we're into August. We're building the last house we need, but I've also queued up 3 more because, as I said earlier, we want to start inviting new folks to join our village because we're going to need those workers when we start doing things like farms. So cool thing here is you can follow an individual member of your village. You can just hit follow, and it'll just follow them wherever they go. We can kind of turn the camera around so we can see what they're up to. Zoom out a little bit here. You can find where their home is, which you can see is right there, because sometimes they work in places that aren't really conducive to where they live versus where they work. He's 23 years old. He's got an education 1 out of 5, and obviously we don't have a way to educate people yet because that's not a feature that's been added to the game as of yet. But we're just about finished with this last home. Everybody will have homes, and we're just into mid-August, so that's good news. Next, we build the smithy so we can make nails, and then we'll make the boathouse and the boatyard so we can make boats. And next, we'll queue up fishing. So let's go ahead and look for that here. Fishing dock right here. We'll throw that right there. That'll at least give us our first source of food outside of what everybody brought with them for now. And then when it comes wintertime, we'll start laying out our farms out here. We'll get some farmland going, and we'll try to rotate crops. This actually requires you to rotate crops, which is great. Very few games actually kind of take that into consideration, so I like that a lot. All right, so you can see we've got our smithy, but what we don't have is charcoal. So we need a way of making charcoal, and I believe that's done through a charcoal pile right here. So we're going to throw a charcoal pile out there, and that's just, they basically have to take some wood and burn it and turn it into charcoal. So we'll get that going here. It's awaiting 4,500 firewood, which what do we have right now? We've got over 10,000, so that's good. Our forestry workers are busy planting these trees at the moment. That's going to take them a little while. We're into September now. We've got another house queued up, but I'm going to go ahead and move the fishing dock ahead of all but the house they're currently working on. So you can see our charcoal pile is hard at work producing said charcoal. And you can see, we can see how long it's going to take for that to happen, burning firewood for charcoal. And then our smithy will get busy just making nails right now. We're not going to worry about metal parts. We're just going to worry about nails. In fact, I'm going to actually lower that production limit for the time being. We're getting another house built. Looks like they are 83 trees away from having all of these planted. We've got that house nearly complete. And then we'll get our boatyard built. And when we have the boatyard built, we can assign a couple folks to start building boats. I think we're pretty good on thatch at the moment. We can look at the population here, and you can see here under migration status, everything is green except for the fact that we have no market. So we need to have a market in order for people to start migrating. We also have the wealth distribution, and we also see some of the basic numbers of things that we have going on here and our population age breakdown. So some useful information. Again, we get a lot more information once we build some of the government buildings. Town hall is going to give us a lot more ways to manage and have information available to us. All right, so let's get our market stall going here. We'll just place it up here somewhere where our tents used to be. and that'll be another job for somebody as well. We can actually add what we're going to provide in the market stall. I think we'll go with firewood. We have to provide resources we actually have for now, which isn't a whole lot, but firewood, fish, and that's probably about it for now. So let's go ahead and do that. We don't even have fish yet, but we're getting pretty close to being able to do that. We're building our fishing dock right now. I don't know why we're building the fishing dock. Oh, because we paused the boatyard. So we got to get the boatyard going too. We'll get enough workers going to build both of those things, and we'll have those in time for winter. Okay, so we did run out of nails, so it's a good thing that I got that built, because that's not one of the things it tells you. It doesn't tell you to go ahead and, hey, get building a smithy, but that's one of those things you absolutely need to have. Thankfully, we do have some spare iron, but eventually we're going to have to import iron, and that'll be something that'll come under trade, which we will get into later on in this episode once we get to that point. All right, we are almost done with the fishing dock. We've got one more set of work to do here. And there we go. And it's almost November now, so we're going to go ahead and add some workers. We need to order 3 boats, which we're going to go ahead and do. So we'll order these boats. We're going to get all 5 of our workers going on fishing. We can't find wood anywhere. Okay, they went and got wood, so now they're building a boat. And they're building a fishing boat. You can see their orders that have been placed there. So they need 2,000 wood for each of those boats. So hopefully our forestry workers are at it right now. It looks like they've got 2,800 wood available. So they're going to need to get back to chopping down wood. They've got 6 trees left to plant, and we will have that completed at long last. We've got firewood available at the market stall, but we do not have fish, but that's okay. They haven't really sold any yet, because I think they can buy that directly from the forestry as well. You can see there that they've sold 2,900 firewood so far. Folks will gather what they need and kind of store it. Once we get all 3 of these fishing boats done, which the first one has been delivered, there you go, you're welcome. Once we do that, they're going to produce dried fish, actually. So we want to actually go ahead and be selling dried fish, I suppose, which will last a lot longer. So let's change that from fish to dried fish. And once they've got all 3 of their boats, we'll go ahead and close down the boatyard, at least for now. I mean, eventually we'll need to keep it open for replacements and repairs, things like that. But for now, we've kind of got the basics of our economy going. We got to think now about, as winter gets underway, about what we need as far as a farm goes. Let's go ahead and just take a quick look at the situation as far as our economy right now. You can see we're pretty well balanced. I mean, we're starting to spend a little more because we've got new jobs. We've got additional payments going out for the workforce. But for the most part, water's unlimited supply, clay's unlimited supply. Food's the main thing I'm a little bit concerned about. But at least at the moment, it looks like everybody's got plenty of food to get them through at least the first winter. But we'll need to be thinking about the farms next. Okay, so our carts are wearing out. It says we need to build a carpentry to repair them. So let's go ahead and do that. Trade and transport. This is not where we do that, apparently. We got to do that under production. So carpentry, here we go. We'll go ahead and put that over here near the wood somewhere. In fact, we'll put it right by the trees. And we'll go ahead and drag that up to build right after the current house that we're working on. So fishing boats are kind of stuck at the moment because I believe the river is frozen. But we'll go ahead and get that last one built, and then we'll shut that down. And then I've got to think about building the farms. While we're waiting on some of those other things, we're going to go ahead and place some burial plots back here. Not that I think we need them at the moment, but that way, when we do, we'll have them. I've gone ahead and queued up the farm. It's going to be right here. Once we complete the farm building, we can start placing some fields, and we're almost into January now. All right, our carpentry is complete. We're assigning a worker to that. Looks like we don't have one at the moment. I think we can go ahead and fire one of our workers from the boatyard. We've just got to kind of cut down on what's available to us because we don't have enough workers to cover all of the different tasks that we're asking them to take on right now. I don't think our thatcher probably needs anything. So we're going to go ahead and fire the thatcher as well, which frees him up to go work somewhere else. And we're going to need new workers just as soon as we can get them because we're not going to have people to work the farms when the time comes. Let's see what our forestry people are up to right now. We've got maxed out on wood. We could actually raise... No, maybe we can't. Maxed out on wood, maxed out on logs, maxed out on firewood. So really, I think we'll just fire both of the foresters for now, just because we don't need any more. And we're almost into February, so pretty soon we're going to need to have that farm complete. Let me get that farm queued up first, because I want to have those fields in place and ready to be planted when spring comes. Okay, we are in March now. The snow has melted, and the farm is just about complete. There we go. So now we can assign a farm manager, we can assign workers, and we can start adding fields. So let's go ahead and add a field. I'm going to put one right outside here. Put the entrance there so it'll be easier to get to. I think just one the first year, and then we'll kind of go from there. We'll add wheat, and you can see the nutrients here. And each type of product uses different nutrients, and then we'll have to rotate. Here are the available options that we have. You can see what wheat uses, you can see what buckwheat uses, sunflower, potato, hemp, and fallow. Fallow, just leaving it fallow allows for everything to kind of replenish. But we're going to go with wheat the first year, and then we'll kind of go from there. All right, so all of our ladies are out there working in the field right now. Certain jobs can only be done by men in the game. Other jobs can be done by men or women. And planting a field is something that the women can do. So all the women that have been sitting around waiting desperately for something to do with their time are out helping to sow in the field. So it's still March. So honestly, we probably, because we're getting this first one sowed pretty good, we probably could go ahead and add a second field. Now here is where you can kind of queue up the rotation. We're not going to do that yet because I want to see what it does to the nutrients, but I believe each farm can have 3 fields. So we're going to go ahead and add a second field for this farm, because I want to be able to have multiple products so that when we do rotation, we're not suffering with any one thing. I think we'll go with potatoes in this one, and then we have to actually go in and tell it to activate that field. But I don't think we'll do more than 2 because we just don't have the manpower to do more than 2 right now. And then what we'll do is, just so I'm not worried about forgetting later, we're going to go ahead and we can't do wheat. We've got to actually turn that wheat into something. So but we'll queue up selling potatoes, but we're going to have to actually create a way of taking this wheat and turning it into flour. So that'll be the next thing we need to do, is a windmill. So let's get the windmill queued up here. Doesn't look like I can rotate it. No, okay, I guess not. So the windmill is just going to sit right where it is like that. We'll get that queued up. Are we out of... Oh, we're out of wood. Okay, so we do need our wood people back at their job because we used up all the wood that we had. There are fishermen hard at work. Well, they were. I think they're delivering now, so we can kind of follow them a little bit and see what they're up to. Watching our man do his thing. He's just going to kind of sit there, but you get the idea. He gathered up 10 fish. So we're starting to have another source of food for folks, as well as the farm that's currently under production. And then once we have some additional resources, we'll also be able to build that windmill, which will allow us to produce flour so people can start making their own bread in their homes. We still got a decent amount. You can see lots of potatoes. I probably don't even need to be making potatoes yet. I might have been able to make both of those wheat fields, but we can always rotate. So right now, the only thing keeping additional people from moving into our town is that we don't have enough food for sale. So that'll obviously change as time goes along. We've got 3 vacant houses at the moment. And once we produce our first crop and we get enough fish going, I think that'll solve the food for sale issue. But right now, we really could use the additional resources of people coming into the village. I think we can fire one of these fishermen. I don't think we need 3 of them at the moment. So we'll keep producing fish at the moment. I don't have enough people to work the smithy and work the carpentry and work the forestry and work the farm and, of course, then work the windmill, which is going to be completed here pretty soon. So that's where we're at the moment. We can follow the growth of our food right now. We're into May, so plenty of time to get that done. I am a little concerned about income at the moment. We'll have to start thinking about that a little more. We've got plenty of most resources at the moment. So we'll get through the end, get through the harvest and everything, and I'll probably wrap this up. And if this is something you want to see more of, just drop a like, leave me a comment, and let me see that, and we'll continue building this village up here and there. Let you continue to get a look at this Alpha 3. So we can't produce dried fish until we have salt for dried fish production. So I tried to do that, but that wasn't an option to me. I did go ahead and build a 3rd boat because these other ones are already kind of in disrepair. And once those boats start to break down, we'll need to get our boat repairman going again. But right now, we just don't have the available workers to kind of handle all of that. Let's see how our fields are coming. Our wheat's coming along nicely. The potatoes are a little farther behind, but that's only because we planted them second, but they're actually pretty close at the moment. So you can see how the nutrients are starting to go down in the fields and why we'll need to think about rotating crops as the time comes. Into July now of 1722. So now that we're doing regular fish, we've started to sell fish to our families. You can see they've actually got a decent amount of dried fish still, so we're probably a little bit ahead on needing those things, which may be why I didn't recommend them to me yet. But I like to get ahead of the game. I like to be where we need to be on those things. So once we bring in some more families, I think the next steps as we look at trade and transport, we'll need a trading post so we can start doing trade with other villages, sell our excess products. We have to think about farming, getting hay and animals, producing things like a lime kiln, which will allow us to build limestone or quick lime from limestone and charcoal. We can produce things like a stone mining camp. We can get stone and limestone from nearby camps. Tailor's workshop for clothing. Lots of available options. So much more to explore yet. I haven't assigned a worker to the windmill. There's no reason to do that until we start plowing this field or harvesting this field, which looks like it's going to be sooner rather than later. Okay, so as we get into we're into August now. It looks like it's about time to start harvesting. So here come all the laborers. All the ladies are back at it, and they're harvesting that wheat, which means it's going to be time to go ahead and add some workers in the windmill to get that going. And we're going to need them from somewhere. So I'm not entirely sure where. It looks like we've got a nice amount of wood at the moment. Logs and firewood, so I guess we're probably good to let them loose from the forestry and get the windmill going. Got 2 workers in the windmill. We're going to grab some of that harvested resource there, and we're going to see this thing fired up here in just a second. There they go. They fired up the windmill, and a new family is settling in our town. You can see them coming from far away. Here they come in their transport. So there's some new workers. We've actually got 5 new people in the town now. So that's a huge addition to things. And we need to go ahead and start selling flour because we almost have our first batch done. So you can see right here, everything's green at the moment. Jobs are available. Water supply is poor, so we might need to start thinking about an additional resource, another well perhaps. But I'm also looking at these boats and thinking, how long are they going to last? But I think we're good for now. They can also get water there off the dock. But we still are going to need more workers because we've got a bunch of jobs available. Actually, I'm gonna close that down because I think we probably need the smithy a little bit more at the moment. We're going to need to get some more nails going. Not enough metal parts for repair, so we also need some metal parts. So let's go ahead and produce some of those. We have a limited supply of iron left, though. We've got 496 left, so we've got to be thinking about that too. But I think we're just about done for this episode. There's a lot more to explore, so if there's something specific that you're looking forward to seeing, let me know. Or if you have questions, ask, and I'll try to answer those in the next episode if we keep this going. But as I said before, drop a like, leave a comment to let me know that you enjoy this and you want to see things more like this, and I'll certainly do that. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.